Hola, mis queridos alumnos. Bienvenidos a clase. In today's conversational Spanish lesson, we will take a trip to a Mexican market, to a clothing store to be exact. We'll hear a conversation between the store owner and me, the customer. Since we are strangers speaking to each other, we will address each other formally using the usted version of you. You may download a complete bilingual transcript of this conversation as well as the exercises in my free resource library linked below. First things first, if you're learning Spanish, then you definitely want to take a moment to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post Spanish lessons or language learning tips every single week. During the conversation, you will notice the following verbs that you will commonly hear or use when shopping. When these verbs appear in the conversation, whether in infinitive or conjugated form, and I will keep them in present tense for you guys, they will be colored green. Vender, to sell. Buscar, to look for. Probarse, to try on. Quedar, to fit or to match. Costar, to cost. Comprar, to buy or to shop. Pagar, to pay. We will first hear the conversation once, then we'll go over some translations and fun exercises to see what you've learned. And finally, we'll hear the full conversation one last time. ¿Están listos? Vamos a comenzar.
Buenas tardes, señorita. ¿En qué le puedo ayudar?
Buenas tardes. ¿Venden vestidos?
Claro que sí. ¿Busca un vestido casual o formal?
Busco uno formal. Es para una fiesta.
¿Algún color en particular?
No, ninguno.
Mire, aquí está la sección de vestidos formales. ¿Qué talla usa usted?
Uso talla 32.
¿Qué le parecen estos colores?
Me gusta el azul, el amarillo. Ah, y me encanta el morado. ¿Me los puedo probar?
Claro que sí. Los vestidores están por aquí.
Gracias.
¿Cómo le quedan, señorita?
El azul me queda grande. El amarillo me queda pequeño, pero el morado me queda perfecto. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Cuesta 1,000 pesos.
Ay, es un poco caro. ¿Cuánto es lo menos?
En 900 se lo dejo.
Está bien, me lo llevo.
También vendemos zapatos. ¿Le gustaría verlos?
Sí, por favor.
Están en oferta. Si compra dos, se lleva el segundo a mitad de precio.
Ah, genial. Estos negros son bonitos, pero no sé si quedan con el vestido.
Yo creo que estos plateados quedan mejor.
Es cierto. Qué buen gusto tiene, señor.
Gracias. Viene con la experiencia.
¿Cuánto cuestan?
Cuestan 600.
Y también me gustaría comprar unas sandalias casuales para la playa. Estas me parecen bien. Entonces, si compro estas, me las llevo a mitad de precio, ¿verdad?
Claro que sí. ¿Algo más? ¿Le gustaría ver algo de joyería?
No, creo que ya gasté demasiado.
Está bien. Su total será de 1,800 pesos. ¿Quiere pagar en efectivo o con tarjeta?
Voy a pagar en efectivo.
Recibo 2,000 pesos. Aquí tiene 200 de cambio, señorita. Que tenga un excelente día. Espero que regrese pronto.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Awesome. Now let's get you involved. As we take a look at the translation, I'll be asking you some questions. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time to respond. All right, so the conversation starts with Buenas tardes, señorita. ¿En qué le puedo ayudar? Good afternoon, miss. How can I help you? ¿En qué le puedo ayudar is a wonderful phrase to memorize because you can use it in so many situations, such as when someone enters your place of business, when someone pays an unexpected visit, or when a stranger calls you on the phone. So if I tell you that señor means sir and buenos dias means good morning, how would you say, good morning, sir? How can I help you? Go ahead and tell me your answer out loud. Buenos días, señor. ¿En qué le puedo ayudar? All right, let's keep breaking down the conversation. You'll be able to see the full translations in red, but I'm just going to highlight a few teaching points for you. Buenas tardes. ¿Venden vestidos? So remember that vender was one of our highlighted verbs. And here we're using the plural of this verb since she's not really asking the store owner directly if he sells dresses. Rather, she's speaking in a more general sense. Do you guys, or does the store, sell dresses? Claro que sí. Busca un vestido casual o formal. Busca is taken from the verb buscar, to search for or to look for. So it's one little verb to cover quite a few words in English. And she responds, busco uno formal. Es para una fiesta. So again, that verb from buscar, except we changed the ending to busco because now I'm saying I'm looking for a formal one. ¿Algún color en particular? No, ninguno. All right, let's add to our vocabulary a little bit and then do another translation exercise. So to say pants in Spanish, we'd say pantalones. We'll go ahead and write los pantalones since it's always easier to go ahead and learn the article right along with the noun. And let's add another color here. Let's choose blue. So remember that colors, just like other adjectives in Spanish, need to agree with the noun both in gender as well as number. But fortunately, there are some colors, such as azul, that don't end in an O, that we don't have to change the spelling of, regardless of if we're describing a masculine or feminine noun. So all we have to do is worry about the number. We'll say azul for singular and azules for plural. To say some in Spanish, we're going to say unos if we're describing masculine nouns, or unas if we're describing feminine ones. So, can you translate? Do you guys sell pants? I'm looking for some blue pants. ¿Venden pantalones? Busco unos pantalones azules. Now, if you said, estoy buscando unos pantalones azules, which is a bit more of a literal translation, you would be perfectly correct as well. Next we have, mire, aquí está la sección de vestidos formales. ¿Qué talla usa usted? Now, there are several different ways of asking what size a person is. Some other alternatives are ¿qué talla lleva usted? O ¿qué talla es? So just keep that in mind if you go shopping in a Spanish-speaking country. Those are some of the ways that you may be asked for your size. I respond, uso talla 32. Quick note, we're speaking about Mexican sizes here. In the US, this would be about a size 8. ¿Qué le parecen estos colores? Me gusta el azul, el amarillo. Ah, y me encanta el morado. Me encanta is a good expression to memorize if you really love something. Instead of saying me gusta, you can say me encanta. Me los puedo probar. Probarse is a verb that means to try on. It's a reflexive verb. We won't go into reflexive verbs in detail in this lesson, but they basically mean that the subject and the object are the same. So we usually use these verbs to talk about an action that we do to ourselves. So the only thing we have to make sure we do with reflexive verbs is to not only conjugate the verb itself, but to also use the correct reflexive pronoun. I'm asking if I can try on these dresses, so that's why the word me is there. Don't worry too much about that for now. All right, let's learn another article of clothing. Blouse, la blusa. In the sentence that I'm going to ask you to translate, we're going to use the color yellow, which is amarillo, Now this is a color that we need to make sure agrees in gender with the noun. So you'll have to choose between amarillo, masculine, or amarilla, feminine. What about red? Again, rojo for masculine and roja for feminine. And before we get into our translation exercise, I just want to direct your attention briefly back to the sample conversation. Notice how I said, I like the blue one. Instead of having to say, I like the blue dress, I like the yellow dress. We can simply say, me gusta el azul. El, because we're talking about el vestido, a masculine noun. Keep that in mind as we go into our translation. Please translate for me, I like the yellow blouse, but I love the red one. May I try it on? Me gusta la blusa amarilla, pero me encanta la roja. ¿Me la puedo probar? You'll notice that we changed to la because we're referring to la blusa, a feminine noun. Moving on. Claro que sí, los vestidores están por aquí. Another way of saying vestidores, or dressing rooms or fitting rooms, is los probadores. That's another way that you'll probably pretty often see the sign there at the store. Gracias. ¿Cómo le quedan, señorita? We could have also said, ¿Qué tal le quedan, señorita? How do they fit, miss? So quedan is the third person plural from quedar. Quedar can have several meanings, but in this context, it means to fit. And he says quedan because we're talking about more than one dress. Remember, I tried on, I think, 3 dresses. So when I respond, I actually speak about one dress at a time. So notice how the conjugation of the verb quedar changes here. El azul me queda grande. El amarillo me queda pequeño. Pero el morado me queda perfecto. All right, we have a little bit of repetition here just so that we can remember this verb. So you see that since I'm now speaking about one dress at a time, I'm not going to say el azul me quedan. No, I'm going to say el azul me queda because we've changed that to singular here. Now in English, we probably wouldn't say the blue one fits me too big. That sounds a little forced, a little strange, but that's what we're literally saying here in Spanish. Again, notice that since we're talking about el vestido, we're keeping with that masculine article el azul, the blue one, el amarillo, the yellow one, and so on. All right, do you remember how to say blouse? Aha, la blusa. Now, what colors are we going to use in our translation exercise? Purple, morado or morada, and green, verde. Remember that one does not change based on gender. So please translate for me. The purple blouse is too small. The green one is too big, but the red one fits me perfectly. Remember that you're literally going to be saying the purple blouse fits me too small and fits me too big. Don't forget that we're now talking about a feminine noun. So change all of your articles and any relevant adjectives to reflect that. La blusa morada me queda pequeña. La verde me queda grande. Pero la roja me queda perfecta. Very good. Well, I've picked out my favorite purple dress and I ask, ¿Cuánto cuesta? You'll definitely want to know how to say this if you go shopping, especially if you're in sort of a market or an outdoor type of shop where prices might not be listed. In fact, they likely will not be listed. To ask what a particular item cost, just add the article plus the noun right after the phrase cuánto cuesta. So, ¿cuánto cuesta la falda? How much does the skirt cost? If the noun that you're using is plural, simply say cuestan instead of cuesta. For example, ¿cuánto cuestan las gafas? How much do the glasses cost? Store owner's response, cuesta 1,000 pesos. Just to put things in perspective here, 1,000 Mexican pesos right now is approximately 47 US dollars. I was expecting less, so I say, ay, es un poco caro. ¿Cuánto es lo menos? So this is an interesting phrase. There are different ways of saying this, but ¿cuánto es lo menos? Is basically what's the least you'll take. So I'm starting to haggle here. Now, obviously, you cannot do this everywhere. You can't do this in a Walmart here in Mexico or any other regular supermarket, just like you wouldn't do that in the United States. But if you're in a market type of environment, you'll come to realize that most people haggle, and often it's expected. And by the way, haggle is regatear. If you're not sure if it's appropriate to haggle or not, well, you may want to explore with a local first and kind of get an idea as to where you can do this and where you can't. So he says, en 900 se lo dejo. I'll give it to you for 900. Literally, we're saying, in 900, I leave it to you. But we would say in English, I'll give it to you for 900. Está bien, me lo llevo. I'll take it. Let's learn 3 new words and then you'll translate 3 sentences because you're getting so good at this. La bolsa is a bag or a purse. La cartera, wallet. Los aretes, earrings. So keep it in mind that we'll need to notice if the noun that we're speaking of is a singular noun or a plural noun and make appropriate adjustments. Please translate. How much does the bag cost? ¿Cuánto cuesta la bolsa? That was easy, right? The wallet cost 200 pesos. La cartera cuesta 200 pesos. How much do the earrings cost? ¿Cuánto cuestan los aretes? Very good. También vendemos zapatos. ¿Le gustaría verlos? Vendemos is from the verb vender, to sell. Le gustaría is you would like, and me gustaría is I would like. Very useful. Sí, por favor. Están en oferta. Si compra 2, se lleva el segundo a mitad de precio. When you see or hear the word oferta in a store, you know that there's some sort of sale or promotion. The word we'll use in our translation will be skirt, la falda. Plural, las faldas. So please translate this little conversation for me. Do you sell skirts? We're going to say you in the plural sense, as in, do you guys sell skirts? ¿Venden faldas? Yes, they're on sale. Sí, están en oferta. I would like to see them. Me gustaría verlas. Good job. I'm excited about the sale, so I say, ah, genial, meaning great or cool. Estos negros son bonitos, pero no sé si quedan con el vestido. Here we have the word quedan again, except that this time we're not exactly talking about something fitting, but rather something matching. This verb can also describe something matching. So I say, these black ones are pretty, but I don't know if they go with the dress or if they match the dress. Yo creo que estos plateados quedan mejor. So the store owner thinks that the silver ones match better. Quedan mejor. Another verb that we can use for match is combinar. So we could have said, yo creo que estos plateados combinan mejor. Both ways are valid. Es cierto. Qué buen gusto tiene, señor. I'm quite impressed by his taste. And he says, gracias. Viene con la experiencia. So let's practice this new meaning of quedar now. Queda, it matches. Quedan, they match. If we're talking about a plural noun. No queda, it doesn't match. No quedan, they don't match. And we'll learn a new word for shirt. Camisa, la camisa. Remember, we're just including the articles here so that you know if the noun is masculine or feminine. You're not necessarily going to need the article depending on what you're saying in the sentence. Camisa usually refers to a man's shirt, whereas females would tend to say blusa here in Mexico. So can you translate for me? My yellow shoes don't match my blue dress. Mis zapatos amarillos no quedan con mi vestido azul. My black shirt matches my black shoes. Mi camisa negra queda con mis zapatos negros. ¿Cuánto cuestan? Cuestan 600. Y también me gustaría comprar unas sandalias casuales para la playa. Estas me parecen bien. Entonces, si compro estas, me las llevo a mitad de precio, ¿verdad? Here we have the verb comprar, to buy or to shop. We have it in infinitive form, and then later in this paragraph, I say, so if I buy these, si compro estas. Why do I say estas and not estos? Because we're talking about sandalias, a feminine plural noun. Let's practice some of our articles here. Un, a, for a masculine noun, such as un vestido. Una, a, before a feminine noun, such as una camisa. Este, meaning this, before a masculine noun, and esta, this before a feminine noun. To say it, such as, do you have the blue dress? Yes, I have it. Lo. Sí, lo tengo. La, if it's a feminine noun. Do you have the red shirt? Sí, la tengo. So referencing our sample conversation here, as well as all of the words and phrases that you've learned, please translate. And I would also like to buy a formal dress for a party. So if I buy this one, I get it for half price, right? Feel free to pause if you need more time. Y también me gustaría comprar un vestido formal para una fiesta. Entonces, si compro este, me lo llevo a mitad de precio, ¿verdad? You've done so well. Let's wrap it up. Claro que sí. ¿Algo más? ¿Le gustaría ver algo de joyería? Algo de is another way of saying some in Spanish, but we pair it with nouns that can't be measured, such as just the general term jewelry in this case. No, creo que ya gasté demasiado. Está bien, su total será de 1,800 pesos. ¿Quiere pagar en efectivo o con tarjeta? So keep these important words in mind, efectivo being cash and tarjeta meaning a card. Voy a pagar en efectivo. Here's an important verb, pagar, to pay. Kept nicely and neatly in infinitive form here for you. I'm going to pay cash. Conversation continues on the other side. Recibo 2,000 pesos. Recibo is something that you'll hear cashiers say often. In English, we would tend to say, okay, out of 2,000, just in a way of verification that what we think we have is what the customer also thinks that they gave us. Aquí tiene 200 de cambio, señorita. Cambio is change. So if you ever feel like you didn't get the right amount of change, that's the word that you'll use. Que tenga un excelente día. Espero que regrese pronto. It's always useful to know how to wish someone a good day. So remember, que tenga un excelente día. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Good job, guys. Let's translate two simple sentences. I'll pay with a card. Or I'm going to pay with a card. Voy a pagar con una tarjeta. I would like to pay cash. Do you remember how to say I would like? Me gustaría pagar en efectivo. Let's hear the entire conversation one final time, a bit faster.
Buenas tardes, señorita. ¿En qué le puedo ayudar?
Buenas tardes. ¿Venden vestidos?
Claro que sí. ¿Busca un vestido casual o formal?
Busco uno formal. Es para una fiesta.
¿Algún color en particular?
No, ninguno.
Mire, aquí está la sección de vestidos formales. ¿Qué talla usa usted?
Uso talla 32.
¿Qué le parecen estos colores?
Me gusta el azul, el amarillo. Ah, y me encanta el morado. ¿Me los puedo probar?
Claro que sí. Los vestidores están por aquí.
Gracias.
¿Cómo le quedan, señorita?
El azul me queda grande. El amarillo me queda pequeño, pero el morado me queda perfecto. ¿Cuánto cuesta?
Cuesta 1,000 pesos.
Ay, es un poco caro. ¿Cuánto es lo menos?
En 900 se lo dejo.
Está bien, me lo llevo.
También vendemos zapatos. ¿Le gustaría verlos?
Sí, por favor.
Están en oferta. Si compra dos, se lleva el segundo a mitad de precio.
Ah, genial. Estos negros son bonitos, pero no sé si quedan con el vestido.
Yo creo que estos plateados quedan mejor.
Es cierto. Qué buen gusto tiene, señor.
Gracias. Viene con la experiencia.
¿Cuánto cuestan?
Cuestan 600.
Y también me gustaría comprar unas sandalias casuales para la playa. Estas me parecen bien. Entonces, si compro estas, me las llevo a mitad de precio, ¿verdad?
Claro que sí. ¿Algo más? ¿Le gustaría ver algo de joyería?
No, creo que ya gasté demasiado.
Está bien. Su total será de 1,800 pesos. ¿Quiere pagar en efectivo o con tarjeta?
Voy a pagar en efectivo.
Recibo 2,000 pesos. Aquí tiene 200 de cambio, señorita. Que tenga un excelente día. Espero que regrese pronto.
Muchas gracias. Hasta luego. Awesome work, guys. Don't forget to download this lesson in my resource library. Like, comment, and subscribe for more Spanish lessons. And for my #1 recommendation for a complete Spanish conversational course, check out the link in the description box below. Hasta la próxima, amigos.